Alright, for those of you who somehow don't already know this, Football Manager 2025 has been delayed until next March, so delayed by like 4 months. Yeah, that's bad. Well, we actually don't know much about Football Manager 2025. These somewhat mysterious screenshots remain the only things we have seen about this game so far. And as you can see, this doesn't really look like an improvement to the match engine or to the in-game experience at all. In fact, astute observers will note that you can create the exact same effect simply by fooling around with the skin. There is nothing substantively different here. Even these graphs that show player performance aren't really much better than, say, the Mustermann skin that I prefer to use. This might be easy to read, but it doesn't really tell you anything insightful or interesting about your players. In other words, if this is all Sports Interactive had to offer us, this game would be a huge flop. And as you could expect, this led to a huge debate on the official forums. Many of you already know about this. Now, some of this is familiar. In fact, if you pay close attention, you'll notice that every single new version of Football Manager results in this huge debate where on the one side you've got the defenders of the company. They always say this new game's going to be the best game of all time and all the problems of the last version are going to go away. And then there are the many skeptics on the other side who think that the company is really going downhill. Usually, actually, the final result is somewhere in between. I mean, I can tell you that I think FM24 is clearly an improvement on FM23, and if I go back and play like FM20 or even FM15 or 16 or whenever you think the game was good, I still prefer the newest version. Well, this time around though, it's not quite that simple. Well, it was way back in June 2023, almost a year and a half ago, that we learned that FM25 would make use of the Unity engine. And it's still not clear what that means from a practical perspective. We then heard absolutely nothing until June 2024 when it turned out that certain features would be missing. Touchline shouts, for example, would go away, as would the Create a Club feature, Versus mode, and Challenge mode. That sounds like a step backwards, right? This news was somewhat tempered by the fact that we were going to get a Premier League license, which means that we will no longer have to change Manchester United's in-game name to reflect reality. But of course, the Premier League license means nothing if there's no game. And as it currently stands, we're not going to have a game for another 4 months. Now, I don't understand exactly how these licenses work, though I would presume that Sports Interactive had to pay like a whole ton of money up front to get the license. So this is a real problem for the company, isn't it? It was in September when Sports Interactive told us that the official announcement of the new game had been delayed. Additionally, we learned that international management was not going to be a thing this time around, which itself was extremely concerning. Boy, man, I tell you, you talk about frustrating. Removing international management in this game is like a real kick to the face of everybody who's been playing the game and who's been making suggestions over, I don't know, like the last decade. So the problem is that Football Manager fans and players have been complaining about the international management system for years now. And I mean, you don't have to trust my word for it. You don't even have to go onto the official forums to find this. You can go look at videos made by official content creators for stuff like FM19, FM18, and you will see them complain about how bad the international management system was. I mean, we're talking years as in well over a decade worth of these complaints. There have been countless suggestions on the official forums, on YouTube, on Reddit, on all the unofficial forums, on how to improve international play. It is absolutely baffling and inexcusable that this company was planning on removing this feature completely instead of spending the time that they should spend trying to fix it. What makes me even more frustrated with this is the number of times that Sports Interactive did not take advantage of things like, the World Cup, the Euros, and all of these other major international events to promote their own game and to work out this issue and to try to attract new fans. You would think that would be an obvious bonanza for the company, but it hasn't done any of that. Instead, it kept putting out a broken product. It's baffling to me. It's just simply baffling where the priorities lie for this company, and it really makes me wonder why in the world I support them to begin with. In late September, pre-orders for the game started up. This was in accordance with a leaked rollout plan that attracted considerable attention. However, this time around, there would be no early access beta version. And now comes this news, the news that the launch will be pushed back until March 2025. Yeah, I mean, really, what's going on here? Why is the development on this so far behind? I clearly don't have a software engineering job. I'm not very skilled in terms of computer programming. I'd love to know what those of you who have this kind of background think about what's going on. My biggest question is, will this game even come out in 2025? I have a sinking feeling that we're dealing with Vaporware. If you read closely, you'll see a bunch of notes about how this is the biggest advancement in the series in a generation, whatever generation means, and about how they want to get it right the first time around. I suppose that's the reason for this excessive delay. Now, just a few days ago, a user on Reddit pointed to this official Football Manager 25 announcement in Slovenian, which featured information not available in any English press release. A translation indicates that the new graphics engine would use so-called realistic volumetric player animations, which, as you might already know, has caused a bit of a stir among FM content creators on YouTube. We're still trying to figure out precisely what Sports Interactive meant by all this. In contrast comes this Reddit post from just a few days ago, in which a tech company employee predicted that the jump from FM24 to FM25 would be small in terms of things that the user experiences. Well, speculation about this game has been rampant, which is the real reason why this delay really feels like a punch to the stomach. I mean, we've been waiting eagerly for screenshots, for news, for video, for anything that we can get our hands on. And then what do we get? We get this bizarre and foreboding 4-month delay. And as I said, it's one that I think will likely turn into FM25 never being released. This almost certainly means that Sports Interactive is not going to follow its roadmap, which is just as well since all of this was extremely vague and very unhelpful and frustrating to begin with. Of course, you can still pre-order this Vaporware, that is, if you're willing to part with your money 4 months in advance of the proposed release of the game. Personally, I wouldn't do this because I don't think this game is coming out. Okay, this is just ridiculous. And look, Sports Interactive needs to fix this. If this game isn't ready, just scrap your plans for FM25 and focus on FM26. Sure, you could come out with, I don't know, some sort of update for FM24 to give us the latest stats or whatever, but you don't really even need to do that. I mean, the community's already doing a lot of this for you. At the very least, though, take away the pre-order option if you don't know that you're going to have a product that will actually be playable. The company really needs to do something as well for those who have already pre-ordered the game with the expectation that it was coming out in late November. Now, Miles Jacobson and the Sports Interactive staff are definitely no strangers to controversies, but this by far is the worst I've ever seen, and this is like incredible levels of mismanagement. Shame on you, Sports Interactive. Now, as for me, I'm going to keep playing FM24 in the meantime, and I'm going to push myself to get more actual Football Manager content released while we wait. But, I mean, I don't know about you guys. For me, this announcement really, really pisses me off.